Hi, today we're going to look at arcs and sectors. Put your calculators away, no cheating. We're going to do arcs and sectors without a calculator. Okay, so we're going to look at some of the skills that you need before you can attempt to do your arcs and sectors without a calculator. So just take a minute to look at these questions and think about how you might answer these. Okay, so you can pause the video at this point if you'd like to. Okay, so on the first question, we have 4 times an eighth times 16, okay? Now, 4 times an eighth, I could do that, right? But there's actually a simpler way to do it, okay? And it's to do with the fact that if you think back to primary school, 2 times 3 has got the same answer as 3 times 2. They both equal 6. Okay, now this thing called the commutative law means that it doesn't matter what order you do a multiply in, you get the same answer. We could do it with 3 numbers. 2 times 3 is 6, 6 times 4 is 24. I could do those in a different order. 3 times 4 is 12, 12 times 2 is 24. Okay, so again, reinforcing that it doesn't matter what order we do a multiplication in. Okay, I'm just going to tidy that away, so if you want to pause the video for a minute to get that down, that's fine. Okay, that thing's a little bit tidier for me. Right, okay, so this first one here then, I would prefer it if this bit came first, an eighth of 16. Okay, so I could do it the other way, but it's just that it's easier to do it this way. Okay, and it will help you later on with your other work. Now, hear how I'm saying this, an eighth of 16. Remember, an eighth of something is the same as dividing by 8. Okay, so 16 divided by 8 is 2. 2 times 4 makes 8 for that one there. Okay, now the next one, 6 times a quarter. If I did that the other way around, a quarter of 6, nah, don't like the sound of that one. But again, doing that bit there first might be the best thing to do. A quarter of 92 and then times it by 6 at the end. Okay, so remember, a quarter of 92 is the same as 92 shared by 4 and then times by 6. Okay, some of you might be able to quickly work out what 92 divided by 4 is, but I need to make sure that I give everybody a method. Okay, so 92 divided by 4. Okay, you could do it like that. How many 4s are in 9? 2 with 1 left over, because 2 times 4 made 8. We've got 9, so we've got 1 left over there. How many 4s are in 12? We've got 3, so we've got 23. 92 divided by 4 is 23, and then multiply it by 6. Now again, some of you might be super quick at working that out. One of the methods I like to use is doing 20 times 6 and 3 times 6. It's called partitioning. So I've still got my 23 there. Okay, 2 times 6 is 12, so 20 times 6 is 120. And the next one, 3 times 6 makes 18. And then add them together. Okay, that one took a wee while longer because we are working at National 5 standards, so it is going to be a little bit trickier. Okay, right. For the last one here, I could work out a quarter of 92. That's fine. Okay, because we've already got the answer to that, so that would be okay. If we did that, what was it again? A quarter of 92 was 23, and then times it by 16. Now, I've been teaching a long time and I know that a lot of people make mistakes with 23 times 16. So I'm going to have a wee look and see if we can do this another way where we don't have a 2-digit times a 2-digit. Okay, so I'm going to try it again so that we don't have to do what your parents would call a long multiplication. A quarter of 16. I'm going to do it that way around. A quarter of 16 times 92. Now what I'm doing here all the time is I'm looking for the easiest way to get the answer. Okay, I'm looking for the easiest way. I'm looking for the way that we're least likely to make a mistake. Okay, so what have we got here? 4 times 92. 90 times 4 and 2 times 4. Again, some people will be super quick, but we've got to make sure that everybody's got a method so that everybody gets a chance to get the answer. 9 times 4 is 36, but it's 90. 2 times 4 is 8. Right, add them together. 368. Okay, so those are some of the skills that you're going to need to be able to do your arcs and sectors without a calculator. Okay, I'd like you to pause the recording and try these questions that are on the screen at the moment. Okay, so pause the video, make sure you've got a piece of paper and a pencil, and attempt these questions, please. Okay, so I'm going to show you how I did them. So for this first one here, I don't like the sound of doing a quarter of 3, but I don't mind doing a quarter of 84. Okay, so a quarter of 84 is 21, and I've still got to multiply by 3, so you should have got 63 for that one there. Okay, next one across, a quarter of 6. No, I don't fancy that because 6 isn't in the 4 times table. So let's have a look. Remember, we're looking for the easiest option every time. So I'm going to do a quarter of 10 instead. A quarter of 10, a quarter of 100 rather. A quarter of 100, 100 divided by 4, 25. And I've still got to times it by 6. So I'm just going to think about 20 times 6 and 5 times 6. And we'll add those together. Okay, just remember that I have to show a method to help everybody get the answer, okay? So that one comes out as 150. Okay, on to the next line. Now, hopefully you noticed that this question here is actually the same as that question there. The numbers are just in a different order. Now, remember, we've been speaking about the I can't even say that word, commutative law, and like when you've got a multiply, it doesn't matter what order you do a multiply in. So that question there is the same as that one there. Now, if you look across the way, hopefully you notice that this one over here, the second question, is the same as the one underneath as well. They're just in a different order. So I know the answer to this third question is 63, and the answer to this fourth question is 150. Okay, so that takes me on to the next row of questions. What do we have here? A quarter of 3 times 2 squared. Oh, right. So we've got more than just multiplying this time. This means that I now need to think about using BODMAS. Okay, we don't have any brackets. We do have orders. Okay, that squared is an order. We don't really have a divide, we kind of do though. We do have multiply and we don't have any add or subtract. So BODMAS is telling me that the first thing that I have to work out for this one is the 2 squared. Okay, so I'm going to do a quarter times the 3 and then times the 2 squared, which makes 4. Okay, now from there I can do a quarter of 4. A quarter of 4 makes 1. 1 times the 3. Okay, 1 times the 3 makes 3. Okay, next one, again, we have got an order. Okay, the 4 squared is an order, the square part being the order. So for this one here, I'm going to do a quarter times the 3, and 4 squared has an answer of 16. Again, I can see that I really don't want to work out a quarter of 3, so I'm going to work out a quarter of 16. A quarter of 16 makes 4, times it by 3, and that gives you 12. So we're building up our skills here towards being able to do our arcs and sectors. Oh yes, because the next question we've got a 3.14. Okay, so when we do these non-calculator, we obviously can't put in a long value for pi, and the question will often state that you have to use 3.14 for your pi. Okay, when you do it in a calculator, I like you to use the pi button, but you can't do that here. Okay, so when you use BODMAS again, okay, so a quarter times 3.14 and 2 squared, 2 times 2 makes your 4. Okay, same as the question above, I'm going to do a quarter of 4, that's 1, and I've still got to multiply by the 3.14. If you multiply something by 1, it doesn't change it. Okay, next question, again, we've got a squared that we need to sort out first. Okay, 3.14 and 10 squared, 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, so notice what I'm doing here when I'm looking at this. I'm thinking, do I know what a quarter of 3.14 is? You'd be surprised at how many people in exams try to work out a quarter of 3.14 and get in a right mess. Do a quarter of 100 instead. Okay, do a quarter of 100 instead, because in fact we don't even need to do it like that. I'm thinking that's going to make it quite hard actually. So I'll just carry on with that thinking. So that comes out as 25 times 3.14. Now that's where, again, I see people in exams making a right mess, because it's what your parents would call a long multiplication. It's quite a long-winded way to get your answer. So I'm just going to have another rethink here. Let me see. What was it again? A quarter times 3.14 times 100. So I'm having to think here, right? So I haven't made a mistake, right? I just tried a method and I thought, nah, there must be something easier than that, okay? Must be something easier than that I can do. And here's what I'm thinking. 3.14 times 100. Okay, that's what I'm thinking here. It's going to get rid of the decimal if I do that. A quarter of, and that makes 314, right? So I've still got to work out 314 divided by 4, right? So let me think. I'm gonna go up here where I've got a bit more room. Okay, I could do one of these sums. How many 4s are in 314? How many 4s are in 3? None. So carry the 3 across. How many 4s are in 31? 4 times 7 is 28, so there would be another 3 left over. How many 4s in 34? 4 times 8. So I've got 2 left over. How many 4s in 20? There's 5, okay? Right, that's one way to do it, if you like doing your sums like that. Another way to do it is that actually, I'll change my colour. So that's one way to get it. Another way to get it is to do 314 divided by 2. What does that make? 157, and then divided by 2 again. Okay, so half of 150 is 75, half the 7 is 3.5, yeah, so add them together, 78.5, okay. I actually did that twice because I wanted to make sure you got the right answer as well. Okay, so I have convinced myself that the answer is 78.5, okay? So you can see with that one there, I'd kind of got comfy with doing a quarter times 100 because that's what I'd done with all the other ones, right? But it actually made it quite tricky, so I've done 3.14 times 100 instead there. You might want to pause the video just now just so you can get things written down, okay? Right, here's 6 more questions and then we'll start looking at the arcs and sectors work. Okay, so if you pause the recording and try to work these out on your paper or in your jotter. Okay, so what I've done for this first one here is I've noticed that 30 goes into 30 and 30 goes into 360. Okay, so what I'm about to do now is I'm going to divide the top by 30. 30 divided by 30 is 1. And I'm going to divide the bottom by 30 again. 30 divided by 30 is 1. So this fraction here cancels down to 1/12. Okay, now hopefully you notice that this bit here ties in with when you're doing your angle divided by 360 in your arcs and sectors work. Okay, so you've got your angle, you might be getting asked to work out your arc length, and it starts off 30 over 360. Okay, so that's why we're doing these ones now. Again, just building up our skills so that we can do these non-calculator. Okay, the next one's a little bit nastier. I'm going to divide both of them by 10 to start with. That'll help my life a little bit. I can see 3 goes into both of those, right? So 3 times 11 and 3 times 12. Oh no, this one's going to be a little bit trickier when we come to do things with it. 3, divide the top by 3, that makes 1. Divide the bottom by 3, that makes 1. 1 times 11 and 1 times 12. Okay, right, now the ones underneath. So this question here says 30 over 360 times 48. Now, if you were just to get that on its own, you might think that's quite mean. But if you look at what you worked out in the line above, you just worked out that 30 over 60 was a 12th. Okay, so, oops. Get rid of that bit. Grab the right pen. So you're actually just working out a 12th of 48. How many 12s make 48? Okay. The next one, we just worked out above that that bit simplified is the same as 11 over 12. Okay. Now, remember how we've done these before? Okay. Divide by the bottom number of the fraction. So we're going to do, whoops, using the wrong pen again. Right, so we're going to do 36 shared by the number on the bottom and times by the number on the top. Okay, so 36 divided by 12. 36 divided by 12 is 3. 3 times 11 is 33. Okay. We're building up to doing this bit at the end. Okay, so this could be one of your arc questions where you're doing your angle over 360 times pi times the diameter. And this is how you would do it non-calculator. The angle over 360 times pi times the diameter. Okay, so first thing we would have to do here would be simplify down 30 over 360. So we know that's a 12th. And we're multiplying by 3.14. And we're multiplying by 48. Okay, so we're just piecing everything together now. Do I fancy working at a quarter of 3.14? Absolutely not. So I'm going to have a look at a 12th of 48. We worked that out, so that's fine. A 12th of 48 is 4, and then times by 3.14. Okay, remember that's the same as 3.14 times 4. So you could do a wee sum like that. I don't mind how you do it, as long as you get the right answer. 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. And it looks like that. Okay, one more. Oh man, this one's going to be annoying, I think. Right, we've already simplified this down to 11 over 12. We've already worked out that this times this is 33. Okay, so yeah, we can't find a nice way around this one. So I'm going to work out 3.14 times 3. Right, 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 1 is 3, other one is 4, 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now, if I know that's the answer to 3.14 times 3, that means that I know the answer for times by 30. Okay, it's going to look like that for the answer for multiplying by 30. So all I need to do now is add these two answers together. Okay, so I am in the process of working out 3.14 times 30 and 3.14 times 3, because remember they're going to add together to give you your 33, 9.42, add them together, 103.62. 3.62 for that one there. Okay, so again, you might want to pause it and just have a look at all my wee doodles that are everywhere there and try and get your head around it in your own time. Okay, there are 3 exam questions coming up now. Okay, so pause the video now and take your time to work out this question. When you're finished it, you can play the video again and you'll find the next question. There are 3 non-calculator questions, and then I will go over how I would work these out, and then we'll also look at the marking scheme from the exam board. This is the second exam question. And this is the third exam question that we're going to look at.